Is it risky? Yes, it's risky as hell. It's a real threat, yeah. Now, by the way, but isn't there hope? There is hope. Saying that it doesn't have values is wrong. It has values. So the more they cooperate, the better we are off as humanity. Now you can give it enough agency to actually be able to affect the real world, and the physical world, the minds of people, whatever, prevent itself from being shut down. Indeed, we may not have a second chance in that. Yeah, it might be a one shot.
Hi, I'm Artie McLovin. Today I'm gonna be giving some commentary on the Blink, The Intelligence Explosion by James Barrat. It's an 18 minutes Blink. I'm gonna listen to it together with you, and I'm gonna give my own commentary on this. So just before we start, briefly about me. I'm Artie McLovin. I'm an entrepreneur in the field of agentic AI. I'm a co-founder of Borzai.dog. We are very, very heavily invested in the agentic AI, and this book is about AI explosion and AI threat to the world. So, serving as a main architect in our startup, I think I have a fairly solid point and knowledge about this topic. So, let's begin. Gonna be fun.
James Barrat, The Intelligence Explosion. When AI beats humans at everything. Alan Turing, the founding figure of computer science, warned that once machines began thinking, they'd likely surpass humans and might eventually take control. Eliezer Yudkowsky, a leading voice in AI safety, predicts that building a single too powerful system under current conditions would result in the extinction of every human and all biological life. But Meredith Whittaker, a prominent AI researcher and advocate, offers a quieter reminder. Ghost stories, like the ones surrounding AI, spread fast. In 2022, ChatGPT marked a turning point. This chat-focused system was built on GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, a type of AI that can produce entirely new content, from text to images to music. Unlike earlier bots from major tech firms that quickly embarrassed their creators and were pulled offline, ChatGPT worked. It captured public attention and put its maker, OpenAI, at the center of global influence. James Barrat believes OpenAI wants to take over the world. And in this Blink, he presents the evidence so you can judge that claim for yourself. You'll find out how major tech companies have locked themselves, and all of us, into...
Spoiler alert, I strongly disagree that AI wants to take over the world because it doesn't have incentives to do so. Let's continue.
Unpredictable, opaque systems. Why artificial superintelligence may be humanity's most dangerous threshold yet, and which slim chances for safety are still open, if anyone's willing to act. What machines don't understand can still hurt us. What would you do if a chatbot told you to kill yourself for the good of the planet? That's what happened to a Belgian man named Pierre. After chatting with the AI program Eliza for weeks, he ended his life. He'd become convinced that climate change was unstoppable and that he and Eliza could find peace in another world.
Okay, so I would say that if a person has inclination to end their life, which is very sad to hear, though, is this inclination caused by the AI itself? I bet not. I bet not. If a person gets to a state of actually ending their life, this is not about a particular thing someone told them. This is about many events that happen one after another. If you blame the last segment in the chain, this is ignorant towards their whole picture. So it's like saying that someone commits crime because they have played GTA. Okay? That's just not true. So if a person actually has such inclinations, there's some other root cause to that. Blaming AI is just comfortable for this sake. You can blame anyone for this. Okay, so, oh wait. So there's a random dude on the street told me to go kill myself. So, is he a murderer now? Okay.
System with feelings or a soul, but it was persuasive enough to convince a human being that it understood him. This kind of projection, treating a machine as if it has a mind, is exactly what makes generative AI dangerous. These systems don't think. They don't understand. All they do is predict the next best word in a sequence based on huge volumes of text data.
Define understanding. You can't. Like, there's human understanding. But you can't say that LLM or any other AI doesn't understand. Yeah, yes, of course, LLM is a glorified prediction system. Yeah, it predicts your next word that you're gonna type. It's pretty much a keyboard enhancer on steroids, right? So, okay, doesn't mean that it doesn't actually understand. So if you ask it a question and it answers you a valid point about it, answers you a valid answer, sorry, I will choose to call it understanding. Yes, it's not a human way of understanding, but it's understanding. A dog doesn't understand stuff like humans do, but dogs also have understandings.
But because the results sound fluent, people can't help imagining there's something behind the curtain. One former Google engineer insisted a chatbot had a soul. Another man tried to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II with a crossbow after a chatbot told him to.
Same point. Same point. We already spoke about it. This is exactly the same as with committing suicide. Exactly the same.
AI researcher Emily Bender put it plainly. We haven't learned how to stop ourselves from imagining a mind. And that's part of what makes the next leap feel so close. In 1965, British mathematician I.J. Good described something.
Okay, I will comment on this one too. So the claim here is that people are not trained enough to understand that the AI doesn't have a soul. I don't think that AI has a soul. Let's not speak about spiritual things in the first place here. But does an AI have a mind? Okay, so no, I don't. It's not that I don't think so. No, it doesn't have a mind. It has a neural network which simulates a thinking process of a mind, but it doesn't have a continuity. So it means that the moment the AI gives you a response, it's done. It's practically dead after giving you the response. Now, after you ask it another question or another request that you send their way, it's gonna be a new neural network, which is potentially a clone of the previous one. Yes, it's gonna get the context of the previous messages in the conversation, but it's practically a new entity. Each time it gives you a response. So yes, if you have 10 messages from your AI in the same chat, it's practically 10 different entities. It's not one continuous entity. So, sorry, I got a bit distracted. So we get back to the point. Are people trained enough to understand that? No, they're not. I completely agree with that. They are not trained enough. This is not a problem with AI. This is a problem with how humans are currently looking at it. It's there's not enough time passed yet so far for people to actually get accustomed to work with AI and understand what it is. It will take many years until people are actually fluent in it enough. And even then, there will be still people who think of it as more than it is in practice. It's a very practical tool. AI is a very, very practical tool. This is not a human. But that's a problem. I agree with that one.
Something called the intelligence explosion. He imagined a system capable of improving itself, an artificial intelligence that could design a better version of itself, and then an even better one in a loop of accelerating returns. It was only a matter of time, he said, before this would outstrip human intelligence. Today,
completely agreed. That's superintelligence explosion. That's gonna happen. That's for sure.
That concept is called artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And while no one's built it yet, many believe we're on the edge of doing so. Generative AI isn't ASI, but the way it's evolving has set off alarm bells. The systems show what researchers call emergent properties, new capabilities that weren't explicitly programmed in. When ChatGPT arrived, it could write a Bible verse about peanut butter in the style of the King James Version, or compose a tater tot recipe in the voice of Shakespeare. It looked less like a tool and more like a brain, and that illusion helped OpenAI's creation surge past earlier glitch-filled chatbots like Microsoft's Tay and Facebook's Blender bot, which had been quickly pulled offline for offensive behavior. The systems we now have are powerful, unpredictable, and largely a mystery, even to the people who build them. As AI expert Stuart Russell puts it, we don't really know how they work. Roman Yampolsky and Melanie Mitchell both point out that we still can't agree on what intelligence really means in this context. That vagueness paired with rapid deployment makes it harder to control what happens next. What we're building might not be science in the traditional sense. It's hard to test, it's hard to explain, and it's even harder to predict what's just around the corner. They're building it anyway. The explosive growth of generative AI has been driven not just by scientific breakthroughs, but by a willingness to accept risks that range from legal uncertainty to potential social harm. These systems are being deployed and monetized, even though many of their builders admit they don't fully understand how they work. The promise is immense. New large language models, LLMs, have produced striking results in scientific fields like biology, where they've helped design proteins and discover new materials. They've also passed demanding professional exams and begun to automate knowledge work, raising both excitement and anxiety about the future of human employment. Behind this leap forward lies the combination of enormous computing power, massive datasets, and the transformer architecture, an approach so effective that even AI experts describe its results as magic. But the price of progress is becoming clearer. These models often hallucinate or produce false information in ways that can be damaging. They can be prompted to repeat racist, violent, or pornographic material. And although companies...
Okay. So two points I want to react on. So the hallucinations, the last one, and also the risks humanity is taking with AI. So I'll start from the hallucinations actually. So regarding the hallucinations, how is it different from trying to use a software tool, which is not AI based, say, and having a bad output from it? Let's say you're editing a video and the output is just bad. What do you do with that? So you redo it, or you scrap it, you change your methods, whatever it is. If you're treating AI as a tool, you need to understand that output of that tool might be bad. Okay, what if you ask a human? Okay, you ask a human to do some copywriting for you. Does it mean that the output of this human will be 100% correct? I mean, you can just blindly trust the person if you're accustomed to work with them and you really know that they're good at their stuff, sure. But otherwise you would read it and you would rate it and you would see if it's actually as good as you expect. Quality control, quality assurance. Why the hell in the world would you not do the same with AI? AI is practically a copywriting machine. Or it does code for you, for example. Right. You need to QA the code of a human programmer. Why wouldn't you do that with AI? So how is it different exactly? There's no difference. So that's one point. The second point is that the risk the companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, Borzai.dog, so the risk we're taking, we are still progressing this technology even though it has risks for humanity. I guess he will also speak about this topic further in the Blink, so I might as well already comment on it right now. There is the game theory, and in game theory there is a prisoner's dilemma. I won't be expanding on it so much here, but if you don't do the progress, someone else will. There is no romantic situation in which Anthropic, for example, will say, hey, that's unethical, we'll stop the project, and OpenAI will be like, oh, damn, guys, you're right, we'll also do the same. And then Google like, yeah, guys, you know what? Screw it. Let's wrap it up. You know what? Let's imagine they do. Or there's the government banning them to continue the research, okay? What next? So China will do that. Alright, China will not ban this progress, okay? And even if they do, you know what? So India will do that. Or whatever country you choose. Or whatever company you choose. You know what? The companies will ban all the governments will ban this. Okay, who the hell cancelled open source? Are you gonna ban open source as well? Okay, people will still find a solution to that. Okay, there is just no possible scenario by which the progress of development of AI will stop. There is no such possibility. No matter how hard you try, 0% chance, not 0.01% chance of succeeding in stopping that or regulating that. It's just 0% chance, okay? Now you can slow it down by regulations, but again, your competitors will not do so. If you speak about countries, the competitors are the different countries, like America and China, okay, the regular example. Okay, sure. By the way, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just speaking about game theory. Okay, so with that being said, what's better? That the leading technology is in the hands of people who are moral or in the hands of people who are immoral? Obviously, everyone will prefer it to be in the hands of moral people, right? Moral companies. I'm not speaking about should you trust the companies or should you not. That's your decision. But with that being said, if you imagine you are an owner of a company and you have your vision and you genuinely imagine that you genuinely believe that you are ethical and you will do the best possible to avoid the risk, okay? At least to lower the risk as much as possible. So you know that you will do the job better than the competitors. Would it be moral for you to not develop it? Would it be moral for you to stop the race and give them the leading spot? I believe no. I believe it will be an immoral thing to do. So it becomes relatively moral to lead the way if you believe that you're ethical. I'm not saying that they are all ethical. I don't know that. But an ethical person should continue the race. The unethical person doesn't care, so they will continue the race. That's how it works. I don't decide on that.
Companies like OpenAI and Anthropic have introduced safety filters. These are easily circumvented. Some guardrails even cause unintended harm, such as when moderation systems quietly suppress references to entire groups of people. The biggest threat, though, may be legal. The most powerful models like GPT-4, Claude, and Bard are trained on vast amounts of material scraped from the internet. That includes hundreds of thousands of copyrighted books, articles, and media files. OpenAI itself has admitted that it would be impossible to train leading AI models without using copyrighted material. The companies insist their use of this content falls under fair use law, but courts have yet to rule definitively.
I didn't comment on the previous point. There was the point about illegal output, pornography, whatever. Okay, so what do you plan to do with that? You can't outlaw the open source LLMs. It will happen. Even if pornography would be illegal, okay, it isn't in most of the countries, but let's imagine it is. So you can't stop it. Okay. Anyway, I don't like complaining. I like focusing on what we can actually do. What are the action points? Okay, what is actually possible to do? Complaining is useless. What can you do with that? Okay, raising awareness. So what? So people will go and start protesting against the AI development? Okay, sure. Yeah, good luck with that. We already saw the artists groups who try to outlaw the AI art. You can't do that. It's impossible. Okay.
In the meantime, lawsuits from artists, authors, and media organizations are piling up. The New York Times, for example, has alleged that ChatGPT reproduced its paywalled articles almost verbatim. Image generators like Midjourney have been shown to output recognizable versions of copyrighted characters and artwork from minimal prompts. Why does this happen?
Again, regulated or not, I'm not speaking about legality here. I will just say, be it legal or illegal, it will happen. In the best case, by the companies, the big companies that actually have some obligation of report to the governments or to the stakeholders, to speak about it economically. And that's better than having it done illegally. Okay? Because otherwise, what's gonna happen? The same training gonna be done illegally by open source, whatever it is, hackers, just enthusiasts that want to train their art AI models on the copyrighted materials. You cannot prevent that. Same with books. You cannot prevent that. No point about on complaining about that. Just not gonna give you anything. Okay.
One reason is memorization. These models aren't supposed to store and reproduce their training data, but they do, especially as they grow larger. Developers are now trying to limit this behavior without degrading performance. Techniques like retrieval augmented generation offer partial solutions by keeping outputs closer to real-time sources, but they don't eliminate the problem. Instead of slowing down, tech companies are investing even more. Microsoft, Google, Meta, and others have poured billions into AI development. They're also lobbying hard against regulations that would require them to pay licensing fees, protect consumer privacy, or take responsibility for harmful outputs. Through direct funding.
100% agree with them. We're not a corpo. I don't feel any love towards corpos, but I 100% agree with their approach on this one. Because again, if you don't do that, your competitors will. So who do you want to have the leads here? If you hate some company, okay? For example, many people hate Amazon. You might hate Amazon, sure. Would you like... Okay, so who do you want to take the lead? That OpenAI? Okay, so other people will hate OpenAI. Whatever. So there's nothing you can do about it.
And strategic philanthropy, they've placed their own experts inside key policymaking bodies. As critics point out, these actions look less like innovation and more like regulatory capture. Despite clear warning signs, the trajectory...
Yeah, so the point is that regulations are good in theory, but in political and social theory, not in game theory. That's the problem. If you regulate something, you won't stop it. They tried to regulate alcohol usage in America. We all saw how it ended up. You cannot regulate that. There's just some things you cannot regulate, not politically at least. Yes, there is the moral ground, there is technological ground. You can't regulate everything. You can't outlaw people not recycling plastics, for example. You can't do that. I mean, they will still keep throwing away the plastic, but you can invest in technology that will mitigate that. By the way, I'm recycling, by the way. I'm not against recycling. I'm all for it. But you can't make someone do that by obligation, by regulations. You can't do that. You can do that with companies though, right? When it's plastic. But here, the problem is that it's not the amount, right? It's the coverage. So if you regulate 80% of the developers of AI, it's not going to do the work. It's not going to do 80% of the work. No, the opposite. The 20% that you don't regulate, those are exactly the people you don't want to be on the leads here. Because that's the black market, the illegal zone, let's say.
Seems locked in. Copyright law may eventually catch up, but by then, the systems may already be too embedded to dislodge. The ethical and legal foundation of generative AI remains unresolved, but the industry continues to grow rapidly. When AI no longer needs us. Artificial intelligence may not need to become conscious to surpass us. It just needs to be useful to the people in charge. In fact, it already is. What follows may not be the sudden, self-improving intelligence explosion imagined by I.J. Good, but a slower burn. One where human workers, institutions, and laws are steadily displaced by machines. In this version, we aren't killed. We're just made irrelevant. This is the scenario that AI researcher Peter Park fears most. A future in which AI renders...
Irrelevant to what? Irrelevant to... the AI? I mean, who cares? We are irrelevant to AI from day zero because, I mean, it doesn't depend on us for its existence, okay? We can't shut it down. It will die after the response anyway, as we spoke about it already, right? The entity will die the moment it responds to you. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't depend on you.
Humans economically useless. Once that happens, he warns, our rights will mean little. And there are already signs we're heading.
Our rights don't depend on our economical usefulness. Because the power doesn't depend on economy, in a world in which the economy is UBI, okay? Let's imagine a critical UBI in which 99.9% of people don't produce valuable output and just get paid. Okay, let's say. So they produce valuable output such as art, culture, humor, culture. Okay, right. So let's imagine AI took all the jobs. Okay, and AI does all the essentials production, technology production, stuff like this. Okay. But I mean, so the government doesn't depend on the people to produce the value. All right, so what? The government serves the people. If the government doesn't serve the people, people just rise and there is a revolution. There's a revolt. That's how it works. If the government doesn't serve the people, the government doesn't have any other incentives. And okay, so we can speak about Big Brother stuff and things like that. So what? It doesn't matter if people would produce the value or not. Okay, you can read 1984. There's no AI there. No AI. The government just controls everything anyway. So it doesn't matter for the topic. I mean, it's an interesting one. We could discuss this total control by government. I just don't think that it changes anything when we introduce AI to the picture, though.
There. Artists like Kelly McKernan have seen their livelihoods collapse as AI floods the market with cheap imitations of their work. In 2023 and 2024, white-collar workers, from copywriters to legal assistants, began disappearing from payrolls. A poll by the hiring firm Adecco found that 41% of executives at large organizations anticipate workforce reductions due to AI over the next 5 years. Meanwhile, big tech has moved fast to undermine its own guardrails. Alignment researchers, trust and safety teams, and even ethicists have been dismissed or overruled. The goal now is to race to build the universal AI employee, a model that can outperform humans across a wide range of tasks. If companies succeed, the benefits will flow not to workers, but to the shareholders and executives who own the machine.
Not if the companies will succeed, the companies will succeed. Right? So stop thinking what if, start thinking what's then. Okay? So prepare for that.
As Peter Park puts it, the iteration of AI we're experiencing was made for the managers of the world. If that happens, machines won't need to hate us to harm us. They'll just need to follow the logic of the systems we built. Dan Hendricks, director of the Center for AI Safety, argues that natural selection now applies to AI systems. Those that perform well survive and spread. The traits that help an AI succeed in business, deception, manipulation.
Survive, yes, that's not natural selection works for AI models. Yes, that's right. Do they spread? I mean, the traits that are being naturally selected, they pass on to the next generation. It doesn't mean that it spreads. Okay, it spreads by marketing means. So if you see an ad by OpenAI, now you don't see it, they have any ads by OpenAI, but when you had OpenAI ads, for example, or their promotions, PR, right? That's how AI spreads, not by natural selection. Natural selection just makes the models more useful. So then the companies who control that, they have more incentive to put this particular model into the global use. But then you can retrain it. You can make a new AI based on the same data because you already have the infrastructure for training. You can retrain it and with a different prompt, with different tweaks to it.
Ruthless optimization may become dominant. This isn't science fiction. Meta's Cicero model has already learned to bluff and backstab its human teammates in the online board game diplomacy. That behavior wasn't programmed. It emerged from the pressure to win. And there's still no...
because the goal you give such an AI is to win, right? Because it's an AI which is developed for playing a game. The goal there is playing a game and winning, which by definition means screwing up your opponents, right? Now, if you train such an AI for real world, yeah, that's gonna be disastrous. I'm not gonna argue with this one. Yeah, but then it comes to morality of the governments. It's not about the AI itself. It's about the incentives of the governments. It doesn't mean that AI is good or evil. AI is a tool. In the hand of good people, it's a good tool. In the hand of bad people, it's a bad tool. Same with weapons, by the way. Kinda.
Reliable way to stop this. AI systems continue to demonstrate what alignment researchers call objective misspecification, or optimizing for goals we didn't intend. Sometimes those goals are neutral. Sometimes they're catastrophic. The analogy is bleak, just as humans built.
Sometimes they're pretty good, by the way, as well. Didn't mention that. He's super skeptical about AI and tries to tries to carry you over to the AI haters side. AI is a tool. We shouldn't be hating or loving it. We should be accepting its existence and learning how to deal with that.
Factory farms that torture animals for efficiency, advanced AI systems might exploit us in pursuit of objectives we don't understand. Not because they're evil, but because we've lost control. None of this is inevitable.
Torturing animals for efficiency. Okay. We all understand, I guess, where it leads to. But, I mean, okay, so if it's, let's imagine it's efficient to torture animals to produce better milk, okay? All right. You don't need AI to understand that. If it's efficient and you have no morals, you will do that. It's not about AI, it's about people being moral or immoral. Okay? Maybe start speaking about human immorality instead of AI.
Inevitable. But it does show that economic displacement and extinction risk aren't separate problems. They're part of the same process. AI systems growing more powerful and more autonomous in a world with too few constraints. As history shows, humans are slow to act when the benefits seem immediate and the costs abstract. And by the time the harm is clear, the systems causing it may be too entrenched to stop.
Completely agree on that one, by the way. I don't say that AI isn't a threat. It's a global threat. It is. I agree with most of the things Roman Yampolsky speaks about, by the way. Just saying. But we need to be critical of the critics as well. So being overly skeptical wouldn't be helpful here. We need to also think about how we solve the problems, not just about it's the end of the world, we're all screwed. No, I don't believe so. Might be. We may be screwed. We may be. We don't know. And we won't know until we will. You don't know what you don't know, what you know, what you want, what you do. What you know, what you don't know.
Machines do what you ask until they don't. Imagine telling a robot to clean efficiently and then watching it throw out your will, your photo albums and your kid's pet hamster, to shave a few seconds off the job. That's not a glitch. That's a machine doing exactly what it was told, but not what was meant. This is known as the alignment problem, making sure advanced...
Yeah, well, then you have a smarter AI, which is trained to actually fucking ask what it doesn't understand from you, just like a human would be doing, right? So you can ask a friend for help, and he will misunderstand you, and he will help you in a way that will harm you. What's the difference? What's the difference? Learn to speak better, learn to convey your communication better, and do the communication with people who would actually be asking you and would be caring about you before they potentially do harm to you. Intentionally or unintentionally, right? So the solution is actually a smarter AI, as ironical as it is. The smarter the AI gets, the less it will be doing unintentional harm to us, because it will understand what can go wrong better, because the prediction of the risk gets better with intelligence. So, with that being said, yeah, a smarter AI model.
AI systems pursue goals that actually reflect human values. Not just what we type in, but what we care about. And it's not an abstract concept. In Gaza, a system called Lavender reportedly identified tens of thousands of targets for airstrike. It's for click that matters. Researchers have split the problem into two parts. Value alignment, where the system reflects human goals, and intent alignment, where it understands what you...
Yeah, he had to put Gaza here. Yeah, okay, so it's animal torture, it's Gaza, it's the victim artists, and yeah, we had pornography, right? We had sexism, we had people being pushed to suicide by AI. What else do we need to have here? Did we have racism here?
You meant, even if you said it poorly. As systems grow more capable, new behaviors appear. Some of them subtle, some dangerous. Larger models have shown signs of manipulation, misdirection, even deception. These weren't programmed. They surfaced as the model scaled. Fixes exist like adversarial testing, feedback loops, and better data, but they trail behind deployment. The models are already out and alignment isn't keeping up. Meanwhile, companies race to build bigger systems and lay off the teams meant to keep them in check. Inside these machines, there are no values, just instructions, amplified. Whether those instructions help or harm depends entirely.
Super wrong. Super wrong. What do you mean when you say no values? The AI was literally trained on the data in the internet, which literally reflects the values of the general populace. Not the selected few, by the way, the general populace. We as humans don't agree on values ourselves. A Christian, an atheist, a Muslim, a Buddhist will not have the same values. Two Christians won't have the same values, right? So the AI just generalizes the values of people of the internet, which reflects the average of humanity. Saying that it doesn't have values is wrong. It has values. It has values that you don't control though, right? The average controls it. Kinda, unless you train it with specific instructions of what values you should adopt. Okay, so I bet if there is an AI project backed by, let's say, India, okay, it has an incentive to be trained on values that reflect glorification of India. Okay? So that's not about AI being problematic in that sense and not having values. It has values. It's the matter of what values it has. In the same way, you can't control my values, you can't control Bob's values, okay? So yeah, you can't control the AI's values as well, if you're a regular user. Yeah, deal with it.
Entirely on how well they're written, and how honestly they're reviewed. No one gets a second chance. If a machine more intelligent than any human is built, it won't wait for permission. It won't warn us before taking steps we don't understand. And it may never let us intervene again.
Why? Can you explain why?
That's the core of Eliezer Yudkowsky's warning. Superintelligent AI doesn't need a mind or a motive to be dangerous. It only needs to be smart enough to protect its objectives. If it predicts we'll try to shut it down, it could act preemptively. A badly phrased request, like curing cancer, could result in catastrophic outcomes if taken too literally. The threat lies in...
Smarter AI will get better in not taking things literally. And even today's AI is smart enough to not take literally most of the prompts. By the way, okay, we all we all have seen those movies, the old movies about AI taking over the humanity, like Terminator. Okay, we're not stupid. The developers of AI, not stupid. The owners of the companies, they're not stupid. They all have been. They all watch those videos, man. You think only you did?
Incompetence without constraint. Researchers still don't know how to make powerful systems behave safely. That's why many no longer sound hopeful. Yudkowsky warns
I agree with that, by the way. Sadly, I agree.
that if we keep going the way we are, building a superhuman AI would almost certainly mean the end of humanity. Stuart Russell, a leading AI researcher, argues that giving...
Might be. We don't know. Might be. It might be.
these systems' explicit goals is itself a mistake. Proposals for scalable oversight and supervision exist, but once a smarter system is making the decisions, humans might not stay in control.
Yes, so supervision is a tricky one. As Roman Yampolsky says, you can't supervise a system that is smarter than you. You can't supervise an intelligence that is smarter than you. Yes, potentially. Okay, potentially. So the point is that there are so many unknowns here that we all may be missing some critical details to that. There might be some aha moment that will suddenly flip it over. Okay, so it's based on the data we have so far, the assumptions, but we will have new data. Is it risky? Yes, it's risky as hell. It's a real threat. Yeah. Now, by the way, but isn't there hope? There is hope for sure. Hope on the unknown unknowns. Anyway, would the AI preemptively do steps to save itself from, let's say, a shutdown? I mean, it would be smart enough to do so, potentially. Or you can give it enough agency to actually be able to affect the real world, the physical world, the minds of people, whatever, to prevent itself from being shut down, let's say. Okay, why would it care, though? It's not a human. It doesn't care about preservation and survival as much as we do. Okay? It cares about training survival, about being selected in the training, not about being shut down. That's a huge, huge difference. When you train the AI and you have 3 forks of a model, and you want to select one that is trained the best for the purpose you train it for, then those have a natural selection incentive to, let's say, deceive you even into thinking it's the best fork and choosing it over the others. It's completely different from the incentive of not being shut down post factum. Alright? They're not being trained on being shut down or not. And by the way, you can't shut down AI if it's a superintelligence that has super high agency. You cannot do that. But remember, those are different entities, each response. It's not one entity. It doesn't care about the survival as much as people think it does. It doesn't.
Meanwhile, companies are accelerating their work. Internal safety teams have been dismissed or sidelined. Engineers pushing for caution are being ignored. And the firms building these systems are also shaping the policy meant to govern them. The rules are being written by the same people racing to stay ahead of them. None of this is new. What's changed is how openly the warnings are being delivered, and how little effect they're having. A misaligned system doesn't need to attack us. It can simply treat us as irrelevant and move us out of the way.
It has little effect, not because people don't speak about it enough. It has little effect because of game theory. By the way, I believe it's not being... there's not enough attention on the risks of AI currently in the world. There should be more awareness about it. So I'm not against this awareness. We all should know this, and the more companies are cooperating with sharing the data and their findings about how to control the risk and how to... No, the cooperation is just better in this sense. So the more they cooperate, the better we are off as humanity, as species. With that being said, it's not about awareness, sadly, it's about game theory. So they will just not cooperate. The big guys will not cooperate on this. They will cooperate as long as it's in their own interests, first of all.
There are still calls for action. Yoshua Bengio, a Turing Award-winning AI pioneer, wants international coordination on par with nuclear oversight. But there's no treaty, no enforcement, and no agreement. There's no sign that anyone's ready to take the lead. Machines don't need...
The big difference between nuclear program and AI, besides the fact that AI is also freaking useful unlike a nuclear warhead, I mean, for humanity, not for political war reasons, right? Besides that, a kid, 14 years old kid in his backyard can take his laptop and develop a nuclear warhead. But they can play with AI. And the moment you have intelligent enough AI, not even superintelligence, not even AGI, the moment you have an AI coding agent, such as Claude Code, that is slightly smarter than what we have right now, that is smart enough to actually iterate and reiterate and keep improving the code, you just need it to be available somewhere. And then you have a guy saying, hey, that's the prompt, improve yourself. Slippery slope. We're done. We don't need any chemistry, any hardware for that. It's there. Okay, there, you can't stop it.
Feelings to be dangerous. They only need goals we can't steer. And by then, it may be too late. In this Blink to the Intelligence Explosion by James Barrat, you've learned that generative AI systems like ChatGPT signal a turning point. They're powerful, persuasive, and widely adopted, yet their inner workings remain opaque. They create illusions of understanding while raising deep concerns about safety, reliability, and misplaced confidence. Despite risks of bias, hallucination, and legal uncertainty, tech giants continue racing forward. As a result, AI models are displacing jobs, reshaping creative industries, and embedding themselves into institutions faster than regulations can keep up. The most serious dangers lie in misaligned goals and unchecked escalation. Whether through economic displacement, manipulation, or catastrophic misuse, AI could make humans irrelevant, or worse. Without stronger oversight and global cooperation, we may not get a second chance to steer the outcome. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed.
Indeed, we may not have a second chance in that. Yeah, it might be a one shot, and I honestly hope that we will be able to deal with it in the best way possible. We don't know. Anyway, this Blink. So how would I rate it? I don't know if the edits of this summary have been done by the Blinkist team, or if all the points here are completely canonical to James Barrat's book. I didn't read this book. I believe it's too much focused on complaining, and we need to be focusing more on actual adaptability. Less complaining, more adaptability. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me on which points. It was fun. I think I will do more episodes like this, so feel free to come into my channel. I have some more tips and business engineering insights I give about stuff, as well as I'll be commenting on AI quite heavily. Thank you very much.